thank you for coming to the Senior Moments program. We have here today Betty Fischer from Oak Park Place, and she'll be talking about, so you're ready for the next step in your life. You're retiring, maybe you are thinking about selling your home, maybe. There's so many maybes as you get older. So she'll be talking a little bit about how and what we need to think about. So I'll give it to you, Betty. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maureen, for having me today. And she's right, there's a lot of maybes in life as we change our lifestyles and we age gracefully. Hopefully we're aging gracefully. Anyway, so we all start thinking as we get a little bit older, what's happening in our own life every day, in our home, the surroundings that we have. Are we still at work? Are we starting to think about retirement? And as we head into retirement, things do change quite a bit. You might get out of bed one day and go, wait a minute, something happened during the night and it's not so easy to get out of bed now. So, and then you shuffle to, do your morning chores, etc. So that's the time that you need to start thinking about it. How much maintenance does your house have? Do you want to keep doing the maintenance? Oh, and you have family. They're encouraging you to do something different or change. They want you to be safe. Do you have stairs in your home? Is your laundry still in your basement? So there's so many things that you have to look at. And as long as you can stay at home for as long as possible and be safe, that is the best scenario. There's nothing like home. I know it's the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy saying, nothing like home, but it's very true. So there's a lot of different services that you can get within the home. A lot of time, many people may start with, I'm just going to have somebody mow my lawn. I'm going to have somebody come in and do some light housekeeping for me. Then that may change with age too. And you may say, well, maybe I need some more support with showers or maybe setting up medications. So it's really not all about going right into assisted living. It's really about staying home as long as you can, again, doing it safely. So there's a lot of options that you can think about. There's the option of bringing in-home services. There are several in this area. There are from private caregivers to organizations, companies that have ample resources to bring in those caregivers, and then you can schedule. I always recommend anytime you have any services that you're going to be bringing into your home, and many of you have done this already with contractors too probably, is get those quotes, as it were. Ask those good questions. Generally I will say, come up with 4 to 5 good questions to ask. Yes, it does evolve around cost. You also want to make sure that you are paying attention to your own personality style. Am I able to meet somebody in advance to have a better understanding? And then one really good question to ask, I always think, is what makes you better or different from the other companies that are out there? So if you like the answer that you get, then that might be the company that you may lean towards more. So there's just so many moving parts and it's hard to decide, it's hard to think about it, it's overwhelming, and I know how easy it is to go, what, this is too overwhelming. Just close that book, don't look at the information, and stay in denial. And sometimes that's when you fall into a trap that you're not able to get out of. You really have to stay proactive, even if you do it at a turtle pace. Always try thinking about, what am I going to do? Many times when I talk to families, we think about a 2 to 5 year plan, depending on what your age is. I'd like to think that I can go out to about 30 years before I have to start thinking about a big change, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. So it's important to share with your family. I know different generations don't always share well with family members. Quite often they're concerned about, well, I don't want my children to know how much money I have, whether it's too little, too much. Well, not necessarily too much, but they don't need to know about those things. And it's embarrassing to talk to your family. I'm aging now, and all of a sudden the healthcare changes, and I want to make sure I'm still that strong parent to my children and show, I'm still cognitively sharp. But they pick up on those different nuances, and they have a better understanding than you think they do. So it's a good idea to start talking with them openly and honestly a long time before any changes need to be made. I have 2 sons. I'm a very stubborn lady, And they are very clear with me and I'm clear with them. When I get to a certain point where I'm no longer safe to be in my home, be independent, whatever the scenario is, if I'm not tracking my finances properly, they're going to need to have a sit-down chit-chat with me. And being open and honest is going to be the best that they can do for me. Or if you don't want to do that with family, make sure you have a close friend or a niece or a nephew, a grandchild, but you need to have some emotional support for that. Not everybody needs to know, but you do need to share with others. So now we're going down that path still, and your adventure continues, and now it's time to turn the page. All right, well, I've had my in-home care services, and they're doing really well, but I need to have a lot more help. Let's say you need not just 1 shower or 2 showers per week assistance, a little bit of light housekeeping. You need a lot more. You need meals prepared. You need your laundry done. You need help dressing or undressing, medications. Then you can increase those hours of care in the home, but it will start getting very expensive. So depending on how important it is for you to save your money for future things, to spend your dollars wisely, you want to make sure that you're really comparing those. Quite often it's an algorithm. If I do this because there's a cause and effect, then this is what the outcome could be. If I do this, this is what the outcome could be. So you really have to know what are your needs, what are your wants, and what direction do you need to go with all of those. And if you don't really know what those are, really start thinking about it a little bit so you're more prepared. Being prepared for anything is the best plan for success for anything. Even going to the grocery store and buying those foods. How am I going to plan my route in the grocery store so it's the least effort as we get older? So you might start thinking about assisted living options. There are a lot of different options here in Rock County and outerlying areas. Maybe you have a family that lives in a different state. Maybe you want to start doing research about that too. You know, what child do you want to be closest to, or where's your bigger scope of family and friends? So again, all that comes to my needs and my wants. So you need to start touring. Go to the different places. All of your senses are on alert. Your sight, the sounds you're hearing, the smells you might have. It's no longer like skilled nursing facilities from years ago. It's really important to know that things have really changed. So that's when we start talking about the different acronyms in our industry, and we love acronyms. So one of the most prevalent is an RCAC, Residential Care Apartment Complex. In the state of Wisconsin, that's a license that offers up to 28 hours of help per week, divided into 4 different levels of care for a majority of the communities. So you're really only paying for the services that you actually need to have. And then as though that help needs to go a little bit higher, you can bump up the hours of care. So the RCACs generally have studio and 1 and possibly even 2-bedroom apartments. Most of them have kitchenette settings in them. No stove because it may not be the safest for you to cook any longer. And sometimes you just don't feel like cooking. How do you cook for 1 person? You know, now in my lifestyle, I only have me, but I have 2 cats, so I do have to think creatively sometimes, but it's not difficult for me to do that. But for many people, it is hard to cook for 1. So you might want to say, I just don't want to cook any longer. Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody do all of your housekeeping every week, do all of your meals for you 3 times a day? You don't have to worry about anything. You can have a call pendant if you have a fall or a worry or a concern. You press the button and somebody will come and help you. You start looking at the positives of what it is that you are looking forward to having, or even not looking forward to having, but they're there and they're available for you. So you have to look at the options of, oh, I'm going to be living in a place where other people are living also. So that's why you want to make sure that the culture you're looking at when you walk into a community. I usually recommend touring about 4 to 5 different places, and sometimes I encourage the family members to do that first. That way they get a better idea, they kind of know what your needs and wants are. Would my mom or my dad be happy here? So because we have an RCAC license, there's also a CBRF license, Community-Based Residential Facility. CBRFs, mostly in Rock County, are dementia specific. So they're secured doors for individuals that have those cognitive challenges. At Oak Park, we do have a CBRF enhanced assisted living. Other places may be a CBRF license, and they have blended for people that have higher mobility concerns, need more physical assistance, so they can still have an apartment style setting, which is very nice. Healthcare power of attorneys, if one is activated, you have to go into a CBRF license. You cannot go into an RCAC, which is the lightest type of assisted living that you can have. And then obviously there's the skilled nursing facilities. More of those are focused on rehabs. So let's say you're going to have knee surgery. You can still go and tour the different skilled nursing facilities that have rehab focus, so you can find out, do I feel comfortable? Am I sharing a room with somebody else? Am I here in my own room with my own full bathroom? So I would recommend, if you know in advance you're going to have any type of, orthopedic surgery of any type, or even in advance, again, being proactive is really important. Oh, so if this happens, I know this is a place I want to go. A lot of that is insurance dependent though, so you have to make sure that you're focusing on that as well. So again, that goes back to a lot of the moving parts and being prepared. So if you look at the whole scope of having a community that has all of the licenses within that campus, those are called a CCRC, Continuing Care Residential Community or Campus. So that's a community that offers everything from independent apartments to the assisted living, to the enhanced assisted, memory care, as well as a skilled nursing facility. So a lot of people that I meet, we sit and we talk about that. That goes back to that 2 to 5 year plan generally. You, by that time, whatever age that you're at, you're kind of already knowing what your health style is. All right, how am I aging? Is it gracefully or is it less than graceful? And then, okay, so in 2 years, I can do a projection that I would probably move into independent living because I don't want to worry about the house maintenance, the snow in the winter. Is my air conditioner going to survive during the heat? Oh my gosh, now I need a new roof. So there's so many variables. When is that tipping point going to happen? So again, being proactive, educating yourself about it is going to help. The continuing care campuses are really nice because you can be an independent living. You come, you go, you do as you please, you have a beautiful apartment. A lot of the communities may have all-inclusive style living where you have your monthly rent and it includes everything from all of your utilities, housekeeping, maybe even a continental breakfast every morning. There are others where you strictly pay just the rent and not a lot of other things are included. You get your own services just like you would in your own home. So you kind of have to think, what kind of lifestyle do I want? Do I want an easy peasy where I just have one monthly billing? A lot of the continuum of cares for the independent living have a lot of activities happening. They may call it a life enrichment calendar because that's what it's all about. So you want to find out, what do I do daily that I really like to do? Do I like to be physically active? Do I like to be social? Do they have a fitness center? Do they have a fitness instructor that comes in? Is there an outdoor patio? Do they have grills? That's something that I could continue to do just like I did at home. So there's a lot of different things you need to think about, which goes back to those needs and wants, so that way you can be prepared for your next chapter in life. And maybe it's not necessarily a chapter change. Maybe it's a whole book change where you just start fresh. And that may be scary, but if you look at it as a good adventure, this is how I'm going to change my life and make it better, make it happier. Is it scary? Yes. Do I need to downsize? Definitely. And that's very overwhelming too. There are many different companies and organizations out there to help you do that. So I think, again, it goes down to the research, whether you need help with downsizing, in-home care services coming in, whatever it may be. You just need to be proactive, and I can't stress that enough. So I know sometimes there may be a lot of different questions. I don't know anyone in the audience if they have any questions at this time.
I had a question about downsizing.
Yes.
Where do you find that information out?
Okay. Oh, the world is at our fingertips for access. You can go to a Google search and you can type in downsizing, and it will bring up a lot of different options, but there are a couple of companies that are really good. Going back to your question about the downsizing aspect, if you wanted to, you can meet with me and I can give you direct referrals. And it goes back to really writing out, I'll call these 3 places, learn more about them, what are their costs and different things, so that way you can make the best decision, what company works best with you. So, and most of those organizations also do a free consult. They'll come to your home, and then they sometimes work with different moving companies or different auctioneers that can sell some of your different collectibles if you have them as well. So there's a lot of great resources that are out there.
It's not about looking for what's that, because I look at other things, plenty of things. I waste plenty of time on the web.
Don't we all?
Yeah, we go down.
May I also mention, being that I work at the library, that you can go to the library, or you can call and talk with the librarians, and they can do some of that lookup or tell you how to find certain things. That's what the librarians train for, is to find information. So
I didn't know that kind of.
Resources abound at Hedberg Library here in Janesville. We're very lucky.
I'm also wondering about do government agencies such as the ADRC, can they help with some of these decisions that maybe you're looking forward to having to make or thinking about?
Absolutely. The Aging and Disability Resource Center here, there's one in every county in the state of Wisconsin. So they have many, many resources as well. So they may even have brochures or pamphlets at the center on the other side of Janesville, south side Janesville, I think it is.
It's in the old Pickens building.
Okay. So sometimes people may have long-term care insurance. You need to check into that. Also, if you served in the military, there's a program President Eisenhower had set up many years ago. It's called Aid in Attendance. You had to serve in the military while we were at war, but that didn't mean that you had to go overseas. So contacting the Veterans Administration office here at the courthouse would be a great idea for those resources. If you served actively in the military and or have a spouse, they also could qualify for that, and that's a financial resource, which is wonderful. Most of these are all financial criteria met, of course. So if you don't have long-term care insurance and you didn't serve in the military or weren't married to a spouse, then you have to really look at what you have for your own private resources and funds. So sometimes there are individuals that don't have a lot of money, whatever happened in their lifestyle to create not to have a huge investment or extra savings or whatever you may have. You need to make sure you get a hold of the Aging Disability Resource Center. There are funds available every year from the county, state, and federal government that are given to every Aging Disability Resource Center to help those individuals in their own home and or moving into an assisted living or memory care community. So if you are not having a lot of access to funds, you need to reach out to the ADRC as soon as possible. It's a great idea. Again, it goes back to the educational component, so you're more proactive. But that's a good question. Are there any other questions? All right, so thank you so much for having me today. It was entertaining a little bit. I know there's not tons of questions sometimes because it can be very overwhelming. So don't let it get to the point where it gets to be too overwhelming. Call somebody, reach out to myself. Again, I love to educate on the options, giving you a better idea of what is out there and available. So think about your chapters in life, think about your needs and wants, get your family involved or a very special person that you can share confidently with and help support you as you're aging in place, regardless of where you're at, and make it the best life you can. Okay. Thank you.